I'm Dr. B. Jane Hursey, and I was the superintendent at Second Baptist School for 14 years. 14 of the best years of my life. At Second Baptist, I witnessed so many miracles. You realize God was on all fronts making all things grow. It was an amazing adventure with God. He taught me a new dependence upon Him. I cannot remember a day when I did not know God. Throughout my life, there were different things that made an impression that would cause my walk to go deeper. When I was a freshman at Furman, I met Dr. Ed Young. I finished my master's degree in education at Vanderbilt Peabody, came back to town, and in 1978, Dr. Young had accepted the position there at Second Baptist. He flew me out and talked to me about coming to be a part then of a school that had been there for approximately 20 years. I cried. I told him, no, God's calling for me right now was in the public schools. So then fast forward another 13 years, I had finished my PhD at University of Virginia. Dr. Young asked me to come out. He got me on a little sofa just like this, and he said, okay, I want you to go home and see if you feel a calling to be here. That's all he said. I came home and discussed with my parents because God had been bringing me to the point I knew I was going to make a change. Then all of a sudden I just burst into tears, and my dad looked at me from one end of the table and he said, Jane, what you're talking about is a calling, and that will never make sense on paper. That is between you and God, and you'll have to make that decision with Him. Before I knew what I'd be doing, before I knew whether I'd be able to pay student loans, I knew God was calling me to be there. God had to take me to Texas to really ground me in places where I could not make it happen. God is always in the gap. If you know you're in an impossible situation, then you know God is there. And that can become a comforting thing when you don't know what to do and you have no control over it. When I think about my first year in the school, it was a year in which you have to dream the dream, and we wanted to dream it the best way for our kids. God was responsible for, on every front, the resources of the faculty, the people that came to our school. Certainly the money was always a miracle. The academics, within the first 5 years that I was at Second Baptist, God brought our average SAT scores up to 1,230. We had one state championship when I first went there. Then we got, look at how many banners hang in the gymnasium. Our kids were so amazing in the arts and the awards they brought home. During the 14 years I was at Second Baptist, probably one of the greatest things to say about my time there is we had 1,400 children who made a profession of faith in Jesus Christ. The secret of success at Second Baptist School is putting Jesus Christ, lifting Him up, and people are drawn to it. And you make your children salt and you make them light. Second Baptist is one of God's great jewels. And we seek not to just give your child knowledge, but wisdom. Wisdom only comes from the Lord. God is always looking for people who are willing to be His instruments in the life of a child. And we have an unusual responsibility to make the pathway clear to the heart of God. You hope that you are a blessing to that child, but I can tell you that God gives it back to you hand over fist. They are such a blessing in your life. There's a verse in 2 Corinthians that I wanted to share because God just brought this to mind, and I think about it when I think about all those people that I love in Houston. It says, you are our letter, written in our hearts, known and read by all men, being manifested that you are a letter of Christ, cared for by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. And that's what I think about when I think about my Second Baptist family. They are my letter, written on human hearts. There are days when I hear those words come back to me. But it is Jesus Christ. That's it. If I did anything right, don't think Dr. Hursey. Think Jesus. He's everything. And it's Him who will cause us to shine like the stars forever and ever. That is the beauty of God allowing you to stand at the point of His miracles, to be visited by His angels, to fellowship with other believers, and to lead others, invite them to the party to know Jesus Christ. I love you, Second Baptist, and that will never change. Hello to my Second Baptist School family. I've missed seeing you, but I plan on being at Second Baptist School on April 22nd for the 75th birthday celebration. It will be the greatest reunion under the sun. If I can come from South Carolina, please come from the far reaches of the world. All points of light being called back. I'll be looking for you, and I love you.